Valeria+Character+Overview, heir to a fabulous legacy of wealth and an unhealthy obsession with decapitation. This once human-turned-augmented assassin serves as her father's project overseer. Her extended time in VR has warped her sense of reality, turning killing into a game that never ends. But without further ado,
let's play this simulation.
What's going on, everybody? This is Sasuke, and today we're going to be talking about Valeria, who, straight out the gate, I want to say is one of the most complicated raiders to understand, let alone master in Spacelords. And using her kit effectively requires a deep understanding of the maps, spawn locations, and enemy behavioral patterns. We have a lot to cover here today, so if you're looking to master the Deadly Decapitator, this is where you should start. As always, her abilities are up first, but with this character, it's a little different, because Valeria's ability is her weapon. Technically speaking, the Einstein-Rosen bridge opens up an interdimensional gateway capable of releasing various deadly projectiles that work in tandem with whatever gun Valeria brings to the battlefield. But let me first cover how the weapon works. A common misconception that I want to clear up is that Valeria does not have to shoot directly through her holographic gateway in order to do damage. She can place it anywhere she wants as long as she has a line of sight on the projectiles that come through the Rosen bridge. The bridge works like this. When aiming your weapon, hold down the ability key to place the stationary Einstein-Rosen bridge, which we're just going to refer to as the ERB from here on. Anyway, whatever angle you're standing at and wherever you're aiming is exactly where all following ability projectiles will go. Once the gateway is placed, it will remain in position indefinitely, unable to be destroyed or moved by anyone else other than Valeria, and only when she chooses to place another ERB. Once set, tap the ability key to release the projectile from the gateway, which can then be shot by Valeria to create a chain reaction between her weapon and the ability. And it's crucial, I mean crucial, that the Valeria players understand that her weapon is her ability, and without it, her gun won't do very effective damage. You'll see what I mean. As a 5th Council member, Valeria's mobility is limited, but her power comes from area domination and an understanding of funnel points. Valeria's ability allows her to completely demolish enemies that try to press forward on her ERB fortified position. The first weapon in her kit is Little Girl, which spread fires 3 projectiles with 0 bullet drop or recoil. While the weapon's damage alone is laughable, even with a max crit build, the smile will soon fade from face once the Rosen bridge is brought into the equation. The spread shot that was once useless now allows for easier shots on her ERB orbs, and the lack of a bullet drop even lets her hit at great distances. Not to mention the weapon also applies a push effect when the bullets meet the unstable orb. Shooting enemies directly with her gun will speed up the recharge rate of the ERB, much like Yune's ability. As for Little Girl's projectiles, they move very fast, so get used to their movement speed and learn how to predict where they'll be moments after you press the ability key. Having them drift towards you is an effective way of catching enemies by surprise, as they'll assume you're isolated and away from your gateway, allowing you to unleash some surprise damage. You're going to have to also have a pretty basic grasp on momentum and timing to take full advantage of this weapon. Just be mindful of when and where you shoot it, as it can damage Valeria herself. The weapon's power in tandem with her ability can instantly down snipers, most elites, and sometimes outright kill alien faction raiders. So now I guess we should talk about Whip. This weapon's a great ad clearer, with mass damage capabilities so effective, it even allows skilled raiders to survive in high-end MMR maps. I don't even know where to start with this thing. The ability works similar to her first weapon and opens a gateway, only this time instead of a volatile orb of energy, Valeria unleashes a giant wild tentacle creature that she took a liking to during one of her intergalactic vacations. The creature, who I've come to like calling Charmy, don't ask me why, exits the portal and floats slowly across the map in a straight line. He's pretty slow though. Her weapon, which now fires automatic laser beams, can deal damage to Charmy, and in turn, Charmy will do high damage to everything within, I want to say, an 8 to 10 meter radius. This weapon variant is game changing against the War Dog faction in particular, and cleans up adds like nothing else, literally becoming a floating ball of death and destruction. Anyway, its damage is still effective against Hades and 5th Council members as well, but it will require a few more ticks of damage than the squishier factions. Against enemy raiders, this weapon can deliver some pretty hefty suppression effects, and can deter them from specific travel routes when they see your death squid patrolling. The tricky part is staying aware of your opponents while trying to deliver damage to your ability, and I have to admit, it makes for a pretty fun spinning plate routine against stronger opponents. Play smart with where you place your squid, and try to go for angular positions that cover multiple known enemy patrol routes. This weapon is good at setting off olive grabs as well for teammates. Just be careful not to hold the trigger down too long and overcook them. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention, Valeria's ability can block incoming projectile damage, so you can catch those War Dog explosive fletchet rounds, or follow it towards turret walls. It's a double-edged sword though, as it can often disrupt teammates with weapons too, causing a Loth to blow himself up, or blocking Alicia's rock and roll airstrike. Her little girl variant can also be used to conduct Kuzman's ability and harm your teammates, so just stay mindful of these things.
Your opinion is absurd, and the way you dress is atrocious.
So I'm still experimenting with Valeria's cards, but there's one in particular that's proven tremendously useful in nearly any scenario, and that's 0 Point Energy Rare, a unique character card that regains 800% health points a second for Valeria and comrades within 15 meters of the Einstein-Rosen bridge. At 5 stacks, the heal advances to 20 health points per second, and the distance of healing increases to 20 meters. This sort of passive ability doubles Valeria's effectiveness as a tank, healer, and a damage dealer, allowing her to soak up huge amounts of damage that would instantly kill most raiders. I mean, she can even solo that turret section on Hanging by a Thread, which is a common test ground I use to check out a raider's swarm survivability. And I mean, just look at this. She can tank all the damage and still stay on the thing, and kill the adds in a matter of seconds. She can literally solo this section. As for her faction card, I feel it's interchangeable, and I tend to swap between exponential feedback to keep the damage momentum going during chained kills, or regeneration bypass, which allows me to recover health while pressed up against cover by 250% base and 500% at 5 stacks. After hearing all that awesome shit, you're probably under the impression that Valeria is the end-all be-all of raiders, right? Well, when it comes to the antagonist role, Valeria's playstyle can fall short. You first have to understand that her ability is extremely situational, and as an antagonist, mobility and momentum are key to survival. Valeria's abilities and movement speed are limited, and bringing raiders to you can prove difficult, unless they're absolutely hell-bent on wasting lives and running straight into your ERB. Whip has a viability, but it can prove difficult to use as its cooldown timer is very long, and the Einstein portal serves as her main source of damage. She can be quite reliant on it when engaging in long-distance fights, but the slow projectile movement speed telegraphs her intentions. It can be useful in tight spaces, however, and keep raiders in a downed or injured state while your adds move in for the kill. And relying on your adds to help secure kills is an important part of her playstyle, as it's a more hands-off approach. The faction card Failsafe, configured with 0 Point Energy, allows Valeria to spend more time damaging her squid while soaking up incoming damage from raiders, without worrying too much about getting down. If you want to get up close and personal, melee in tandem with a very well placed ERB from her little girl may prove the best bet. That was a weird sentence to say. Leading raiders to your damage path and surprising them can often instant down even stronger factions like the Hades and 5th Council. You have to play smart when using this weapon, however, as it requires a bit of skill to stay cool under the pressure, to both line up shots and successfully time them on your ERB orb. I should also mention that Valeria's slow movement speed and steady stress gain make her an easy target for roaming raiders, and if you become tired of having to slowly sneak around the map and keep your visibility low, try using the antagonist affinity faction card called Anti-Tracker Rare, which lowers 5th Council members' stress gain when they're at full health. This should help when setting up your ERB on unsuspecting raiders. At the end of the day, Valeria is an advanced raider when compared to the rest of the cast. Her power comes from stationary or funneled area domination, while her weaknesses take the form of limited mobility and a reliance on her ability for damage. She can be difficult to learn, but once you understand her mechanics thoroughly, you'll learn to appreciate her unique approach to combat. As an antagonist, there's potential here, and her damage against groups of clustered raiders can discourage squad mobilization. Her passive approach to combat and reliance on adds to do fast-moving wet work requires players to have a deep understanding of the game's mechanics to pull off a victory against skilled raiders. Overall, I think she's an amazing addition to the cast, and as you guys know, I love gimmicky and weird weapons, and Valeria is the very embodiment of that playstyle. That's gonna wrap it up for this video. I hope this helped you understand her a little bit better. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you all on the Broken Planet.